This is the video for Module 1, Lesson 15, Rounding of Decimals. It's a continuation of yesterday where we rounded whole numbers, but this time we're going to the decimals, so there's just one little step that will change. So we always have to pay attention to where we're rounding, and in this case we're rounding to the tenths. So as we learned yesterday, the first step is to underline the digit in the place that we are rounding to. We then box the digit to the right. That box is like a window. We can only look in, we can't touch that number. So I ask myself, is the digit that's in the box 5 or more? We up the score. If it's 4 or less, we let it rest. And the number that's upping the score or letting it rest is the one that's underlined. So in this case, it's 4 or less right here. So it lets the 3 rest. So I just write it right underneath. The same thing as before, all the digits that are to the left stay the same. The difference here is in whole numbers, we would have turned everything from the box over to a 0. But if we are on the decimal side, we just drop it off. The 4 and anything after it doesn't exist, it goes off into little math land up in the sky. So the answer to this question, if we rounded it to the nearest tenths, it would be 75 and 3/10. Here's another example. We're once again going to round to the tenths. So the 6 is in my tenths place. I then box the 8. I have to find out, is it 5 or more? Up the score, or 4 or less, let it rest. If you're someone who sometimes might get confused with that, then my advice to you is to write the digits from 0 to 9 on the bottom. And find out if I split them in half, it would be right here. So that I have 5 digits on one side and 5 digits on the other, so it lets me know what I need to do. So I have my 8 right here. My 8, which I can only look at, tells me to bump my 6 up one spot. So I bump the 6 up to the 7. Everything to the left stays the same. And then this disappears and is gone. This time we're going to try to a different place value. We're going to round to the nearest hundredths. So first, what you should do is underline the digit in the hundredths place. The 4 is in the hundredths place. I box the number to the right, which is the 3. That 3 is less than 4, so it tells me that I should keep this number the same. And then everything to the left stays the same. And I drop the numbers from the box on. Next, once again, I'm going to round to the nearest hundredths. I find the hundredths. I underline the 9. I box the 7. This one's a little different. The 7 tells me to move the 9 up. But when I move the 9 up, the next number is 10. I cannot write 2 digits here. That would be incorrect. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to put a 0 down here for the 10, and I'm going to carry my 1 up to my next place value. By carrying it up, I know that I now need to add these 2 numbers together to make a new number here, which is 5. Everything to the left stays the same, and everything from the box on drops off. Next one, I'm going to round this to the nearest tens. I have to ask myself, where is the tens? Well, I don't see a tens place, but I do know the tens place would be here, so I can draw my line in. And I have to ask myself, what digit can I always use as a placeholder? So I know that there should be a 0 there. So since that's my underline, I box the number to the right. When I box that number, the 8 tells me to move the 0 up to a 1. And now some of you might think that I put nothing here because there's decimals. But on the whole number side, which is all of this, this is the whole number side, I turn the digits to 0 like I did when I rounded whole numbers. And then I drop everything to the right. Whole number side gets the zeros, the decimal side does not. And the last one that we're going to try together is we're rounding this one to the tenths place. I underline the 0, I box the 4. The 4 tells me that the 0 stays, everything to the left stays the same, and everything to the right gets dropped off. Now somebody say, but you just said in the last one that a 0 on the decimal side shouldn't be there. But in this case, because I'm rounding to the tenths place, I do need a digit in the tenths place, so that's why the 0 stayed.